Yo, what's going on? Today I want to talk about these WNBA CBA negotiations. Um, you may or may not know if you keep up with like basketball and the NBA, but um, the WNBA players and the owners and the TV deals, they're all getting done this year, coming to do like collective bargaining basically, and the players have had a issue with um like what's the current deals that they're getting. Um, I remember hearing about this earlier this summer. I saw like a Angel Reese podcast clip. Kind of like everybody was like hating on her. Um, right. And a couple days ago, there was some more news where the WNBA players recently declined a new offer that was made to increase their salary cap by 4 times. And it's been getting more traction, like day by day, not day by day. And there's like a real like big point in the WNBA All-Star game where the players came out with shirts that said "Pay us what you owe us." And if you look by like the likes and dislikes, didn't go very well to like the public. Everybody in the comments was, uh, basically just like, maybe they were hating, um, right? And but it hasn't blown up like super big yet, but I have seen similar things to this before back in like a decade ago. I remember being on YouTube and it was with the US women's soccer team, and there was this whole big thing about how like the U.S. women's soccer team wanted to get paid as much as the men's national team, right? And there was like a bunch of videos when I was like 11 at that time. And there was like a bunch of videos. I was like, oh, these women want to get paid as much as the men, right? And I remember like never hearing the full story, so until way later, until I look back at it. Basically, the gist of it was right here in this article, in this NPR article, kind of details it. But the women were getting paid like $75,000 as their like base salary. They wouldn't get as much bonus for winning or friendly matches. And in 2015, the women's national team went super far in the tournament, but the men's national team didn't go that far. The women's national team ended up bringing in $17.7 million in profit, uh, and projected, they projected a net approximately $5 million in profit the next year and a net loss of nearly $1 million for the men's national team. I remember, when I was a little kid, they never said, stuff like this. They would make these videos and they would be like, oh, these women want to get paid more than the men or as much as the men. And they would be like, they would use the argument that the women would not beat the men in a soccer match. But it doesn't, like, that doesn't really matter because of the value that they generated, the 17.7 million, and they're getting paid less than the men who are operating at a loss. And the reason why this is important is because this this situation in these videos kind of molded how we talk about women's sports from then on. It's been kind of a double-edged sword for like, I would say like the WNBA, because I'm not going to even though this conversation exists and it exists in like the national media or like general, discussion, it's always, it's always about like women's, like how they get paid. And it's like, oh, they deserve to get paid less or this, that, and the third. And, to some extent, it's maybe helped the WNBA grow larger. At the same time, it's been like a holding down like holding down the WNBA and like discourse overall. It's the reason why we got this graphic on when Caitlin Clark got drafted. It immediately was talking about how much she makes per year, her salary, and all that. So now we're here today where, you hear, oh, the WNBA, they just declined a 4x salary. How much do these women want to get paid? Are they, being greedy? Are they this, that, and the third? So with all that being said, what are the demands that the WNBA players are making? So the two demands that I've heard that the WNBA players want is an increase in the percentage of revenue that they generate, an increase in the percentage of the revenue that they get, that they generate, and a percentage-wise increasing the past rookie scale deals to the new rookie scale deals that they'll get in the new CBA, because the salary cap is going up every single year for the WNBA as it's getting bigger and bigger. So the salary that the players got from like the 2022 or the 2023 or 2024 draft classes or 2025 draft classes is going to be much less than what the rookies are going to get next season, right? And you might be like, oh, well, that's pretty normal in other sports leagues, which it is, right? That they're not going to be, but it's that they're not going to be getting paid like the same. But it's a substantial, it's a big enough increase between the two where if you're growing the league, you need the young players to, make more money, because being an athlete is kind of expensive. You have to, the travel, the travel and the not conditioning. Oh my God. Because being an athlete is kind of expensive when you're trying to maximize what you do. You have to pay for, you can pay for chefs to get better and deal with your nutrition. You need to pay for physical therapy after you get a workout done. You need massages and things like that. And it's you have to. It's a situation where it's you can put more money into it, so that you can get a better outcome. You can be a better player. Right? It helps you with that. So investing into, the past couple of years of rookies, which got us to this point of the WNBA being more and more popular, is, in my opinion, I don't think it's a bad thing. And it's, it's very different from the NFL and the, NBA, where those rookies are already making millions of dollars. So the difference between $200K between, rookies last year and the rookies next year isn't as big as the difference between $20K between rookies last year in the WNBA and the rookies this year in the WNBA. So the other thing was the percentage of revenue that they get. And the revenue they were not promised, but they were, if they were able to reach a goal pre-COVID, and this article talks about it. I'll leave the article and link in the description. But if they were able to reach those goals, they were gonna get 25% of the incoming revenue, right? Revenue is different from profit. Revenue is the total, jersey sales, ticket sales, hot dogs sold, all that, right? That's when there's that revenue, and then profit is how much money do owners make at the end of the after paying everything, how much do they make on the other side of that? So it's two different things. And the owners are so far been willing to operate at a loss. Nobody's forcing these owners to pay billions or millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in the WNBA. They're doing it out of their own volition. They're doing it because they want to. They're even willing to pay 4x more in the salary, which would be a bigger jump to compared to what the WNBA players presumably want this year, than to give up that percentage of ownership over the revenue. Okay. So yeah, so basically, they were going to get, not going to, they were like challenged, and basically they weren't able to reach those goals to reach a 25% income revenue. So because of like things like the pandemic, and they couldn't get any ticket sales, right, in the arena. So their percentage actually dropped from 11% to 9.3%, right? And it would remain there for the next like 5 years, even though the WNBA has been making more money than it ever has with, the new players like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, all the players, Sabrina Ionescu, right? They've been making, way more money than they used to, but the revenue percentage has been lower than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So basically what they want is a higher percentage of revenue. That's why they declined the 4x times in increase in salary paid, because they weirdly kind of want a more meritocratic version of their pay. They want it to be based off of what they generate, what they bring in, rather than it just being this is going to be flat, and they have to basically ask for a new higher number every single CBA. And it's pretty normal that in professional sports leagues, what the revenue split is, it's usually more than 40%. The MLB gets 40%, the 49% split between basketball, between the NBA and the players. The NFL the players receive 48%, but I don't think it's, if I were to guess, because there's no real like data on what WNBA players are specifically asking for, I would guess it's somewhat similar to the MLS. They want to receive 20% of the revenue because the company is still growing. So they are in somewhat similar positions when it comes to how much revenue they generate, so that the owners and stuff can make up for their losses sooner, and then eventually they'll have the same split as like the NBA, NFL, stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty much everything, I think. So, leave a comment, leave a like, if you like the video, I guess. I don't know. If you have any criticisms, leave a comment and let me know. If you, have any thoughts on this, leave a comment. So, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.